Last week, Pope Francis fired his entire Vatican board of financial watchdogs after years of scandals. The board, which oversees over $10 billion in the Vatican Bank, faced allegations of money laundering prior to Pope Francis's election. The once all-male and all-Italian committee has now been replaced by a more international, diverse group, including, for the first time, a woman. This as Pope Francis continues with reforms to the church in an attempt to bring more honesty and transparency to it. Joining me right now with more is Father Robert Sirico, president of the Acton Institute for the Study of Religion and Liberty and author of Defending the Free Market, the Moral Case for a Free Economy. Father, great to have you here.
Good to be with you, Tris.
Tell me first of all, what needs to be done in terms of financial reform when it comes to the Vatican?
You really need to break up the bureaucracy, and that's what you had. It was a bureaucracy that was self-serving, self-dealing. I don't think that everyone on that committee was dishonest, but I think a lot of things just went by. It was an Italian bureaucracy at that, so it made it really thick. I say that with the Sirico name, too.
Yeah, that's right. So how do you think this is going to change it?
Well, I think it's going to open it up. It's going to bring a lot more knowledge to the Vatican of how markets function. International markets and the market in general, which, given some of the statements of some of the Pope's advisors,
they've been pretty successful, right? I mean, they've got $10 billion.
You know, let me just make a point about that $10 billion. That's not all the Vatican's money. There are a lot of religious orders that have put money in the bank. Priests, different organizations associated with the church have their money there. And one of the reasons for it was to allow missionaries to control, especially in countries that were unstable or a lot of corruption in those own countries. They would put their money there for safety.
So let me ask you kind of a simple question.
Sure.
The Vatican's investing money. Do they choose to make investments that have sort of a moral aspect to it?
There is a moral screen. I mean, there's supposed to be a moral screen. That'll be interesting to see what comes from this new transparency. Right. But things that wouldn't promote violence or sexual exploitation, abortion, contraception, things like that.
Let me ask you, Father. I mean, this Pope has a lot to contend with, given all the controversy that the Catholic Church has generated in recent years. And now there are fresh allegations that he may need to address. You've got the Irish government now this week announcing that it would begin an investigation into allegations of neglect and criminality at homes for unwed mothers, including high mortality rates, burial practices, child trafficking, and secret vaccine trials. Now, this investigation was triggered by reports of 796 children, primarily infants, being secretly buried at a home run by nuns in County Galway between 1925 and 1961. Right. What should the Pope be doing on this?
There's some inaccuracy with those reports. These were not secret burials. They were not dumped in a septic tank, which some of the reports said. The woman, the local historian, accessed public death records of these children at a time in Ireland where mortality rate for children in general was bad. These kids would have been in worse condition because they were given to these nuns because people didn't want them or their lives were, at an end. So I think there's a lot of clarification. I think it's a good thing they're going to have this investigation. In fact, the Archbishop of Dublin
wants to see
Martin
this investigation
called for this investigation.
No, that's important. It's important that they get out.